Wow, read this part. She also believed Trump when he said that Project 2025, the conservative blueprint to cut the federal workforce, was not his plan. Then she got fired by Trump and lost everything. All right, let me set the stage. The Washington Post, currently on their front page, has the story of a young Trump supporter who happens to be a mother and who just got fired from her job because of Doge. Because of people like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, other rich people who will be insulated from the consequences of their actions. But this young mother won't be. And here's the thing. We've covered a lot of stories of open, brazen Trump supporters then getting fired from their job. And a lot of times we can find a bit of irony in it, right? There's always a little bit of irony, but this one, it's just sad because this person was incredibly misled and tells her story throughout this quick post, and I'd like to read it. I mean, for example, of one that's funny, for just a quick palate cleanser before we go in. Do you guys remember Marilyn O'Brien, who was responding to a bunch of posts about Kamala saying, "Thank God it's finally happening. Let's get rid of corruption and all the government waste." This was on February 12th, if you see my cursor. And then, if we go over, on February 12th, again, they're only looking for bad actors. The foster care system will be safe. Quit fear-mongering. In response to a post about Doge going for the child care system, they say they're only going for bad actors, don't worry. We then see Doge is at the IRS going through a trove of data, and Marilyn O'Brien says, "Don't worry, people. They are only looking for crime in the IRS." This was February 13th. And then the cherry on top, February 16th, Marilyn O'Brien responds to Donald Trump by saying, "My daughter lost her job today. She worked for years to get what she had accomplished. She loves her job and bought a home nearby just a few months ago. Life was good until she lost her job today from Doge. I voted for you 3 times." This person gets a good old Fell for It Again award. The Fell for It Again award is when you fall for a con man's BS openly and brazenly. Now here's the thing, while this one is kind of funny and ironic, let me tell you the story of Riley Cooper, who's normally more focused on motherhood than politics until came Doge. Before we jump in, make sure you're subscribed. Go scroll down and look how close we are to 1 million subscribers. We are this close, and people keep saying, "Hey Adam, I thought I was subscribed, but it turns out I wasn't. Good luck on 1 million. This one reads, Riley Cooper exhaled as she slid onto the couch after 9 hours of work for the U.S. Forest Service, still covered in the blue paint she used to mark trees for local loggers. Then she got the text, quote, "I hate to be the bearer of bad news," her union leader wrote. It was the second Thursday in February, and a historic White House purge aimed at federal workers like Cooper was sweeping the country. But the headlines felt far away from her life in rural Michigan. She figured her jobs, with paychecks totaling about $40K a year, would be safe from the cost-cutting campaign led by Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. Besides, motherhood was her most pressing concern. Cooper, 24 years old, and her husband were trying to get pregnant, but the doctor said that IVF might be their best chance. Trump had promised to make IVF free in some offhanded remark. I don't know, he says a lot of random ass stuff. That is what she thought about when she was in the voting booth. She thought that Donald Trump was going to make IVF free for God knows whatever reason. Now she was staring at her phone, learning that probationary workers in the Forest Service were the next to be fired by his administration. Cooper would likely be one of them. Her union had told her. And yes, while Elon Musk is firing a bunch of probationary workers and apparently cutting a bunch of fraud, waste, and abuse, as he calls it, but it's really just people who are working for our federal government, he's also cutting people who worked for our government for decades. There was one story we covered where somebody who worked for the federal government for 16 years got fired. They had highly specialized expertise, and they were just let go. Riley's eyes watered. She knew it wasn't personal. Every day brought new rumors of cuts, and her performance evaluation from last fall found her fully successful, the highest possible score. But even people with the highest possible score have been cut. I mean, for people that talk about merit a lot, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are always talking about merit, they sure are firing people very indiscriminately. They don't care about merit whatsoever when it comes to firing. Or I guess hiring, if you look at Pete Hegseth and all the people around him. She reminded herself that she had done everything right. Graduated college with a 3.5 GPA, finished her first semester of work towards a master's degree in forestry with a 4.0, rescued 2 dogs, rescued 2 cats, chosen a man who held her on the shower floor when she found out she had endometriosis, a condition that led to infertility. She thought about a Facebook post she had seen a few days earlier. Quote, "It's February 3rd, her grandmother posted, and we're going in the right direction. Quote, "Any government employee who is afraid of transparency," wrote the man who taught her AP government class in high school, "is a criminal." And this is a thing. This is what they're doing that is so incredibly frustrating. They keep saying, hey, if you're opposing what we're doing, you must be a criminal. You must be a little bit shady. You must be opposed to government transparency, when it's like, no. We want the government to be transparent, number one, but we want there to be oversight. We all want there to be oversight, and there is. And Elon Musk is pulling this trick in front of us all, where he's releasing all of these numbers selectively, but you have to remember these numbers were already public. They were already in the reconciliation bills that Congress would pass. Elon Musk is just acting like they are bombshell numbers. He's acting like he's being uniquely transparent when he's not. He's doing this selectively with no oversight, and then he's accusing anybody that calls him out of being a criminal. And it's just the laziest line of thinking. It's literally the Trumpian tactic of when Trump used to say, the only reason they're coming after me and saying I'm a criminal is because they're the real criminals. No, Elon Musk is just uniquely corrupt, and he's going through this at a breakneck speed, and nobody wants him. Yeah, nobody wants this. Cooper knew the people in her life meant well, but she wanted her future to be different from theirs. She had grown up watching her family struggle as her mother lost one job, then lost another, then another. She was just a few months shy of her graduate degree and close to a promotion that could nearly double her salary. Even 50 or 60K a year, she thought, could help get her a house a few counties over with better schools. And that all just got taken away from Elon Musk, who, again, is incredibly insulated. And, you know, I can't help but feel bad. I hope that Riley figures everything out, gets back on her feet, and has the best possible life she can. But, I mean, people need to understand the consequences of their actions, and people need to understand that what Elon Musk doing is not some fun gig where he's going in and him and his bros are cutting all the fraud, waste, and abuse. No. They're just firing a bunch of people who work their asses off. You know, maybe I should make a full video compiling all of these stories, because I've reported story after story after story of Trump voter who gets fired, Trump voter whose daughter or mother gets let go, Trump voter who loses this or that. And yes, while some of it's sad, some of it's ironic, maybe I should make a master video covering all of these stories, because these are the consequences. This is what happens when you vote, when you roll the die and vote for a lunatic. For now, she and her husband lived in Baldwin, Michigan, a village of about 1,000 people where the high school track is made of cracked cement and weeds. They had purchased their home because it was cheap, less than $150K, and close to their families who could help with childcare. It takes 3 minutes to drive past Baldwin's one post office, one bar, and one bowling alley. So it's a very, very small town, small community, and most people in Baldwin like Donald Trump. More than 62% voted for him in November. And it reminds me of this town in Oklahoma that saw massive job loss. This reads, massive Oklahoma job loss as 600 federal employees at Tinker Air Force Base will be fired tomorrow. Tinker is the single largest site employing people in Oklahoma. Again, Tinker is the single largest site employer in Oklahoma. You can see it went for Donald Trump by 66% in Oklahoma. And yeah, people are getting fired. And here's the thing. The way Elon Musk has been operating, I can almost guarantee they're going to be rehiring some of these people desperately in about 24 to 48 hours. But I mean, yeah, it's sad. When it comes to Riley, the mother, getting fired meant she would no longer have health insurance, including the 12 weeks of paid maternity leave that was a guaranteed benefit of her federal service. And gone would be the promotion that would have allowed her to plan for the kids she so badly wanted to have. I mean, that is sad. They were probably betting on the 12 weeks of paid maternity leave to get them through, to help them, and now that is gone. She wondered if Trump was going to break his promise to make IVF free, and if it would even matter if he did. Oh, honey, Trump is not doing anything like that. Her husband sat beside her and squeezed her hand, still processing. Together they had been counting. 16 days until they could try again, 28 until she could take her next test. After she was sexually assaulted at 16, Cooper had sworn she would never be caught unprepared. But here she was, betrayed by her body, which would not cooperate, betrayed by her family who supported firing federal workers like her, and perhaps most painfully, betrayed by herself. And here's the thing. I mean, Cooper did not want to think about what had happened 3 months prior, but her mind went there anyways, to the voting booth in Baldwin, where she had filled out every part of the ballot before turning to the box that said presidential. She said she stared at it for 15 minutes. She did not want to vote for Trump. Cooper hated what he said about women and how he treated them. I mean, it's just, how can you justify this? If you understand what Trump has said, if you've heard it and you hate it, how can you still justify it? Her family always said the women who accused the president of sexual assault had either made it up or deserved it. Cooper heard them and kept her own experience a secret, thinking they might feel the same way about her. She voted for Biden in 2020. Now, here's the thing. I know people in high school like this. Like, I know young women in high school who are rather liberal. You ask them about any issue, whether it's abortion. They say, yeah, I'm pro-choice. They say, yeah, I believe in gay marriage. It should be legal. They believe this down the entire list, all of the liberal issues, but they still voted Trump, but just because their family told them, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. He's good for the economy. Don't you want a good economy? And it's just, yeah, she voted for Biden in 2020, her first time voting, but life felt more complicated. Her mortgage was too expensive. Groceries were nearly $400 a month. And one single cycle of IVF could cost more than 10% of her annual household income. Wow, her annual household income, that is wild. Trump, at a campaign stop an hour and a half south of her, had promised to make IVF free. She knew that from a video clip she saw on TikTok, and she had believed him. And I guess that is the core of it right there. Trump was able to dominate TikTok, dominate the news cycle, dominate all of this, and convince people that he was fighting for them. I mean, convince low information voters. And I'm not saying low information to put people down. It just generally means that you only consume a few short form clips and vote based off that, which Riley admits that's how she voted. And yeah, Trump dominated with low information voters. She also believed him when he said that Project 2025, the conservative blueprint for the next Republican admin that suggested mass cuts to the federal workforce, was not his plan. She thought Project 2025 was not his plan. Then she got fired. Cooper filled in the bubble next to his name, thinking of the daughter she wanted. She planned to name her Charlotte. And here's the end of the article, which I find, okay, this part's ironic. The days after she got the text passed quickly. A call from the district ranger, who was in charge of the Forest Service in Baldwin, telling her to pack up her things. 4 days after Trump fired her, Cooper was in bed with her husband. She picked up her phone and saw the news. There was a new executive order to expand access to IVF. She read the White House fact sheet, which talked about Trump's request for policy recommendations to reduce costs of the service. But it still wasn't free, and she was still out of a job and out of a plan. Quote, delivering on promises for American families, read the White House announcement. That's bullshit, she recalled thinking, putting her phone down. And that's the end of the article. I'll leave it there. Subscribe so we can hit 1 million. I love all of you guys, and peace out.